Now, this one, I can't teach you. I haven't the time, but I wish I had the time. Because when we give feedback, I want you to think of a hamburger, all right? Think of a hamburger. You make a hamburger, you do not eat the hamburger. In this case, I want you to think of making the hamburger. You start with the bottom bun. When you start with the bottom bun, all right, it is to start on a positive note. So if you ask Mary to come and see you because of something that she did wrong, for example, one of my children forged my signature when she was 8 years old for a spelling test that she failed, you know. So she forged my signature. Now, when I brought her to me, the first thing I did was I had to maintain her self-esteem. Right? If she's been so naughty and you got nothing good to praise her about, then say, thank you for finding time to see mommy. That is just starting on that note, all right? You start on a positive note, you know, so the child knows what's happening, you know, like in this case, of course, if she's done something wonderful yesterday, let me tell her about it. Or I say, you know, Emmeline, you know, you've always been a happy girl, you've been an obedient child, and mommy really loves you a lot. All right, stop there. Go straight into the garnishes and your patty, which is really what are you going to be talking about? What issue? In this case, it is about her forging on the spelling test, right? Forging my signature. So then, number one, Emmeline, I want to be very factual. This is what happened, all right? Your teacher called me, and this is da-da-da-da. No emotions on my part. I do not put in my own value system, nor my criticism of that. I will just state the facts. State the facts, all right, as is. This is what happened on this day, you did that. Number two, make her accept consequences. Emmeline, what happens if you continue to forge mommy's signature? She knows, yeah? She knows what happens because it's cheating, right? It's not the right thing to do. So what happens when you forge mommy's signature? Get her to accept that there are consequences if she continues to do this. But the most important thing is for her to adapt by setting a goal, all right? Once she knows the consequences, then, Emmeline, what are we going to do about that, all right? So, mommy, okay, from now on, it doesn't matter. I will, of course, try to study for my spelling, but there are times when I forget or for some reason I didn't do well, but I still should let you know. I should still let you sign. And then she comes up with her own action plan, what she will do about it. And then, that's good. Along the way, you of course have to listen, you got to be empathetic, and then you go to the top bun, which is to top it with this sesame bun, right? And that is to be positive again, to affirm your support. So Emmeline, I thank you for coming up with good action plans so that you don't do that again, right? You understand why, and I'm glad you came up with those good actions and your goal. I want to let you know that mommy is very confident that this thing will not happen again because you are determined to change and you're determined not to let this happen again. You express confidence, you give her a hug, you send her away. All right? So very simply, positive, start on a positive note, end on a positive note. Don't hub. Don't start on a negative note because we are so tempted to always start with, why did you do this? How could you do this? Because once you do that, the defense mechanism comes up and that's the end of the conversation. It will just all be about excuse giving. But what you want this to be is action planning so that it doesn't happen again. This is the art of giving feedback, okay? So, in short, we can motivate our children by being good role models, by being their cheerleader and being their best critique, okay? And this is very easy. If they're effective and they possess the skills, the last factor, right? And of course, this is when we become a partner of the schools as well. You know, the schools helping us, so we be the supporter in the schools, be involved in the schools. That helps a lot. I was very involved in school only when you were in primary school, but when they were in secondary, they were on their own, and they benefited a lot from me being active in the school during their primary days. And of course, you got to be a friend. But I'll tell you that we can be friends with our children, especially now that my children are young adults and teenagers. By the end of the day, you're still a parent. And I do not forget that I'm also their parent. And I'll tell you, as long as you live in my house, you are my child. And you still listen to my rules. And you still obey curfew hours or whatever. You know, so those are the things. But we are also, first and foremost, also their friend. And we're also their disciplinarian. And that's when they look at us as sometimes the enemy. All right? The enemy. So we need to set OB markers on their behavior. And a very simple slide I have here is this, that we need to uphold very clear boundaries, yes? But these boundaries can change, all right, as they grow older and older. Learn to unleash them a little bit. Don't wait until they're 16 before you finally let them go. Then they don't know how to be independent. Give them the independence along the way. Small things that you can do. Stand firm on values in a family, but you don't have to sweat the small stuff, okay? You don't have to sweat small stuff like, what they wear. They want to wear a camisole. Not too revealing. Okay, that's the fashion. You can let it go, but bring a cardigan out, that kind of thing. But don't sweat too much the small stuff. Loosen up, but don't let go. Don't let go. All right, so how do we then have completely engaged children? Of course, then is where they have the satisfied, motivated, and effective. And I just realized it's actually SME, very easy to remember, right? Small and medium enterprises. So satisfied, motivated, effective, yes? And then, of course, with all that you've done for them, they are values driven. I'm sorry. Okay. I want to show you the last slide, okay? And that is to let you go on this, yeah? And this. This is to encourage you because we are all parents. Just look at the picture. Is that of a small gear? Look at this gear in the middle, all right? In the middle, and then you got a larger gears outside. These are what you see in watches and things like that, clocks and all that, right? Think of it. If we want to effect any change in our children, we are going to grow them to be the best people they can be. I'll tell you that we are like small gears. Sometimes we get so disappointed or sometimes we get discouraged because we think, I've been working on this child for so long, Even for teachers, right? Sometimes you work on a child and say, why is it this child is like so incorrigible? But you know what? I want to just encourage us and challenge us to think that we are like the small gear. You know this small gear in the middle? It's going to have to spin. It's going to have to spin and spin and spin many times before that big gear starts moving and making a revolution. So think of ourselves as small gears. We have to spin many times. And sometimes we get discouraged because we think we're not seeing results. But I'll tell you that the momentum is beginning. You have started the momentum, and your children will benefit from the fact that you spin and you didn't let them go. Because they will, like the large gear, eventually move, and they will do you proud. Okay? So on that note, I just want to challenge you, I want to encourage you that our children are well worth all the effort we put in for them. Okay? Thank you very much.
Right. Is there any question? Yes, we have.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes.
I like your hamburger analogy, and you said don't harp on the past, and children don't like it when you rake up the past. But actually, as a parent, I'm trying to be positive when I'm at the middle part of the burger, trying to get down to the facts, and I'm reminding about the past that he has stepped out of line before on that score. So I'm just reminding him, and he's saying, why are you bringing that up again? And then, so how do you convince the child that you're not actually trying to not appreciate that he has tried to come back on the line, but that somehow along the way he went out of line again on that same point.
Yep.
Yeah. So how?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, the hamburger. Thank you for your question. This thing about raking up the past. Do you remember when we talk about being constructive in feedback, right? We said don't be past-oriented, be future-oriented. You see, the fact is, something has already happened, all right? And the fact is that as parents, right, we should give our children regular feedback, rather than wait for it to accumulate like 10 times mistakes, then you start talking to him. Then, of course, then you have to rake it up. But when you rake it up, be very specific, right? If you do have to bring it up in feedback, it's part over here where we say being aware of the issue. All right, so this is the only part. After you've maintained your self-esteem, the first part, you go into that. We say, Faisal, I need to talk to you about this issue of, I don't know, could be punctuality or whatever. The fact that the boy is never there when you're there to pick him up. So then you be very specific. For the last 2 months, Mommy noticed that every other week you've been late. At least once or twice a week. When I'm there in school to pick you up, you're not there. All right. So that is the part where you rake the past only, all right? But that is only for him to be aware of the issue. Don't say, Mommy is so tired of waiting for you, because that is putting your emotions into it or your value system or whatever, but just to state the facts. right? So don't rake up the past for him. And remember, it's got to be future-oriented. So the thing is, what are the consequences? Like, mommy will be late for what, and he'll be late for this and all that. Then say, what can we do to make sure that every time I'm there, you are already there, waiting for me. Something like that, in that order. So that way, it is putting it in context. Okay? Thank you very much. Any other question?
We do have time. Yeah, could you?
Yeah.
Actually, I have a girl 6 years old. One of the day the school called me, and the teacher said that, I got to work on her math, 1 to 20. So it's like, oops, okay, I got to do something about it. So after that, when I reached home, I talked to her about it. I said, Mommy got to work on your 1 to 20. And the teacher actually tell me that, you are still not very familiar. Maybe I'm being too honest. I'm not sure whether I'm doing right or not. Then she said, but the teacher said that I'm good. Then I was, okay, yeah, you are very good. Then I told her that. Then after that, subsequently, we were practicing. And then end of the day, I think she didn't manage to do her spellings with the numbers and all those things. So I told her about it. Then she's like, very sad kind of things that I don't want to take away her self-esteem when she's not doing well. So I don't know how to work on it. Okay. And also, your motivating parents model, does it work on all levels, like age from what to what? Because my girl is only 6, does it work?
Yes, it works on all levels because we speak at that level, right? So if we talk about, you're talking about the self-esteem and everything, right? Yes, you praise them at that point, that level, because even as 6-year-olds, they do wonderful things, but they also do very naughty things. Because children always push the boundary. They want to know how much they can push you over. We say, Mommy says, don't do this, but they will, no matter how, still try to push the envelope, all right? So when we say that we need to maintain their self-esteem, right, it is about not criticizing them until, like literally they'll break down and cry, but also the things, the behaviors that they've done well, and you tell them you appreciate that behavior. This is for positive labeling, right? But it is at their level. So, like, I don't know, Jasmine, when you did this, when you help your friend, or you share your food, or you share your toys with so-and-so, that was very good. At that level, you can speak at that level. But when it's an older child, a teenager, it is a completely different ballgame. They do different things. It could be about even helping to cook for the family. So if my daughter, if I'm not around and I'm coming back late from work, she cooks for the family. When I come back, I will appreciate that. And I'll tell her how wonderful she did at that. Different levels you can still appreciate. But if it's still something bad that they've done, naughty, the hamburger at the different level also can be applied. You just have to choose the right words. Okay. The right words accordingly.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Right, we do have time for one more question. Would anyone like to ask? Yes, please.
Ma'am, thank you for your very motivational burger model. I'd just like to ask you, how do you handle differences between siblings? Like one child is very smart, the other one is a little slow. What tips do you have on maintaining a balance? For example, you don't want to make the smart child feel so good that he looks down upon the other child. On the other hand, you don't want to make the other child feel very inferior, How do you maintain that balance?
Okay. Thank you for the question. I have 5 children, and they're all of differing abilities as well. The twins, they're slower, all right, compared to number 3 and number 4 and number 5. And because they are my firstborn, actually we have a joke of this is among my friends. We always say because they're identical twins, so their brains also divide into 2. But actually that's really unkind. But we joke about it. But the thing is, my twins are hardworking. But that's only because I really sit on them a lot. Like I say, their primary 6 year was they call it the most horrible year of their life, because mommy was like literally on them the whole time. Because I know that if they don't do well on the PSLE, they can't even get their 200 points. They can't even get to their own feeder school. So that was why I was really pushing it. But the fact is, they have always known that they are slower than number 3 because number 3 is very close in age, only 1 whole year later. So while they're in primary 6, Elizabeth was in primary 5. It's always been so. And Elizabeth is very quick, very fast, photographic memory, she's got all that, okay? But the thing is this, I always told my children, all of them, I said, just because, I always say, yeah, it's very hard to say, people always ask me this question, do you have a favorite? I'll say no. But at any point in time, I may spend different amount of time with any child. Which means that when they were in primary 6, for example, I only spend a lot of my time on the twins, but not on the other kids. And I'll tell them it's not because mommy doesn't love you, not at all. It's just that your tetes need me more now. And because they need me more now, I will spend a lot of time with them to help them. And then you are on your own. But another time in your life, you may need me more, and I will then spend that time with you. So from a very young age, I've always told my children, there are 5 of you, it's very hard for mommy, but just believe me when I say, when you need me, I'm there, but there'll be times when I really don't spend time with you because your other siblings need me more. And this thing about being smarter, and that will happen. Elizabeth is a smart girl, she knows it. But when she's too cocky, I will take her down a peg or two. I will. And I'll tell her, don't be too cocky, you're not that smart, you know? All right, there will always be people better than you, but there will always be people worse off than you. And when it comes to his sisters, in fact, the 2 sisters, I don't know why, the twins, accept that she's smarter. In fact, they go to her for help in their schoolwork. They say, oh, I think Elizabeth can help me, and they actually go to her. So there was never this thing called, I think it's just the way you make it, everything's very open. They'll study together in the same room. I only have one den, this room is horribly cluttered up, all right? Full of, like, you know, if one child needs a computer, then it's like 2 or 3 computers there at one time. They all study in the same room. They all do their homework in the same room. No computer in the bedrooms, only in that common room. So everybody studies together, and then that's where they can help each other. And then there's no need to feel that one is better than the other. I think the reality of life is there will be children smarter than the others. They just have to accept that this is life. And I always say, life is like that. But we are also very fair. Huh? We always say, while you may not be as smart, your EQ is very strong. So they're very good with friendships. The twins are excellent socially. Whereas Elizabeth, she's smarter, but she's low EQ, socially awkward when she was a child. But that's where they make up with each other, and that's how they help each other. So that's how you work your children. Look at their strengths, look at their not so good areas, and then you get them to help one another. I hope that helps. I don't know. Yep.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think it has been a very engaging time. You all agree with me, right? Yes, we've got a great speaker here. Yep. So on behalf of the MOE Excel Fest Committee, I'd like to give Joni a small token of appreciation. Okay. Thank you. And please, after this, you would like to visit the exhibition that is here to see how the schools have gone about doing teaching and learning activities. The teachers are there, the students are there. So please have a good afternoon, and thank you.
Thank you.